Hey, everybody. You know what? It is our first Friday National Parks Show with the National Parks Arts Foundation. It's really the Toast to the Arts and Parks Show. And back in 2021 in the fall, we got to chat with Grammy nominated and award winning musician Chihsuan Yang. And she was the National Parks Arts Foundation artist in residence for a month in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Who doesn't want that gig, right? And that residency is still there, so everyone should go check it out at nationalparksartsfoundation.org. But we're super excited to welcome her back on the show because she's got a new EP out, a new single out, and she's going back to Hawaii to do some shows in early 2024. So welcome back, Chihsuan. I've been practicing your name. You know that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me back.
Oh,
What
it's so exciting. It's so exciting. I mean, it's been a couple years right before we push the record button. We're trying to remember who, what, where, but yeah, so that residency was amazing because you could be there for a month
right. And
in the art house with the recording studio.
it's right. It's funny because I didn't actually use the actual booth because it was already so quiet in the house. I didn't really need to isolate I'm not like, vocalist or anything. And then that room is like tiny for playing violin with a bow.
Yeah.
So I ended up just recording in the bedrooms, which turned out fantastic as well. So
Oh, wow. Wow. So your new song, New Me, that is out, and you can everyone get it on YouTube, Spotify, and those watching here on YouTube will be able to also hear it. Tell us a little bit about that because I believe you were writing it then, and of course, a lot has happened over the last, wow,
yeah,
it is 3 years. Holy cow.
I guess
Yeah.
so. Yeah, it is 3 years.
Yeah. We
I
can
guess
count.
yeah,
One,
just
two,
a
two,
little
no, it's 2 years.
bit.
Yeah, it's 2 years. We
2021.
can't count.
two
Yeah, we
years.
can't count. Who cares? Don't tell my teachers.
It
Yeah,
did,
two
did feel
years.
like a lifetime ago, huh? Like
Yeah, it
another
does.
lifetime ago. Yeah. I mean, just because the pandemic, I mean, affected everybody. And then I unfortunately or fortunately got into a life altering car accident
Yeah.
in that little 2 year period as well. So that kind of is uh I say luckily because unfortunately because just the power of like shifting perspectives, like sounds like a cliche, but like I have this like urgency, feel like I need to like put out more music or get things done. Just like you don't know, tomorrow is not promised. So treasure every
Yeah.
day, cherish every moment, and be with people who you want to be with, and playing music with people who you want to play with. So it's yeah, it's true, people do have a different sense of perspective and all that, appreciation, gratitude, I guess.
Coming
um
close to death and also going through pain and it's traumatic. Your body goes into a shock, right? It's a really traumatic thing to go through. And at the same
yeah.
time, it's like there's this weird thing that happens where you become closer with yourself when you go through something like that. Like you all of a sudden, like you start communicating with yourself more than, like you're saying you want to do all these things more, but there's this other communication that happens. Did that happen with you through this?
um what's funny, I mean, I think there's always like great meaning in pain, that it's a motive of reaching out, and it can also be the basis of like looking into deep within yourself and finding what's new and original in your
Mm,
experience. And then I fully embrace this pain because I feel so lucky to be able to experience the full spectrum of human experiences, good or bad, right? And what's a very interesting thing that happened to me the first night I was in the hospital. I had just scored a commercial for Gap,
oh,
and that night, and I didn't know when it was going to air, and I had no idea. And so that night, the nurse came to my room and she said, "Would you like to watch some TV?" And I said, "I don't watch TV." And she said, "Maybe it'll help you, distract you from your pain, what you just went through, this traumatic thing." And so she turned on the TV, and that night was the Emmy Awards that night. It was the live,
yeah,
from Emmy Awards, and I was just watching, and then all of a sudden my commercial came on, like during in
that's
between
cool.
in between the Emmy Awards. And I was like, oh my God, that's the thing that I just scored. And I just remember that moment it's very interesting. It's like a cosmic joke. Like you're on like high that your first commercial just aired on TV, but then yet you're in bed with a ton of morphine and with a broken, hand and back. It just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like it's a very interesting experience that the universe is like here, just like kind of like throw it
The
out.
most important thing, though, really, we're so glad you're here because I remember
Thank
hearing about
you.
the accident. We were all sharing things on social
Mhm.
media in support, and it's terrifying. And yet, we're just like, oh my God, at least you're alive, but are you okay? We don't want you in pain. And of course, we also want you to be able to be happy, recuperate, and play music. So that journey of going from a hospital bed to being able to, musicians are not allowed to have their hands broken.
I know.
Nothing's allowed, right? And so then there's like that rehab. And what was that journey like to be able to get back? And you said your back, right? So your back was
So
affected.
yeah, the accident was pretty horrific because I was actually coming home from a gig that night. And that was one of the
Mhm.
first concerts that I started playing since pandemic because it was late
Oh,
2000.
wow.
And I was just like, oh, so happy, like, that I'm finally playing live music again. So I have my kid and my partner also in the car with me that day because
Ooh,
it was gonna be like a fun, backyard sort of thing. So they all came with me, and on our way home, I wasn't driving, my partner was driving, and all of a sudden, just a car flew from the opposite side of the traffic through the medium on the highway. We're on the highway
wow.
110, passing by downtown
Oh,
LA. And then this car was driving 75 miles per hour. So are we.
ooh,
And then it just like airborne, this car, I just saw sparkles. I was like, oh, why is there fireworks on Saturday night? But it wasn't. It was an SUV, airborne, and then landed on our car.
that's
So
insane.
that is crazy. Like it's a picture. It was just like people don't understand how we survived, like all three of us. But then I got the worst injury of the in our car. But the girl who actually hit us, she was also a victim because she was hit by someone else first in the other on.
Oh,
So it caused her to lose control, of the car, and then she jumped the medium and landed on us, and then she got
wow.
hit two more times. So she was like this ping pong ball, just got hit like five times.
Oh, messy.
She is paralyzed from the chest down.
Oh,
I know it's really, I just cannot imagine. So immediately upon the impact, I just know that I saw my hand in blood, and then I just know that there's something broken. But I'm glad that we're all like still moving. I hear everybody like screaming and yelling, but then like so my injuries were I injured three of my fingers and my pinky was broke, and then my back was compressed. I have two spots that's compression fracture because I've been over
oh,
so much that I hit my knees, and then the airbag didn't catch me somehow because maybe because my seat was a little bit back. And then on the fifth day, they told me that, oh, I'm gonna discharge you. Like your fingers will eventually heal. You have to like do a lot of PT, and your back, there's nothing we're not gonna operate on. So I told them like, but I have this like abdominal pain that's excruciating. Like, and then on the fifth day in the hospital bed, if somebody even like just touched me a little bit, I would be screaming. So I like begged them to give me another scan. I was like, something's not right. I know that. I had no puncture wound on my belly, but there was like a huge laceration from the seatbelt that caught me, saved my life,
mhm.
but also hurt me a lot. And then immediately after the MRI this time, they pushed me to the OR immediately. They said your small intestines, it's leaking, and then there's
Oh,
also spots that's already like rotting. So they had to like do a sorry, they had to do a emergency laparotomy. So that means they have to like find out where the leak is, and then to take out inch by inch of all your intestines, your spleen, your stomach, your intestines, and just find out where the leak is. And then so they found two spots. One is already like it's already leaking, and then the other part is just like needs to be cut out. So they cut out two sections of my small intestines, and then reattach.
wow.
I know. So that left with a huge like a 9-inch scar on my belly. And the
Wow.
thing is, like, when I was little, I was 4 or 5 years old, I had a heart surgery because I had a heart
Mm.
defect. So I already had a heart, like I already had a 9-inch scar from my from here to here, and then now I have another one from below. It's like a zipper. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I have 2 huge scars on my chest and my belly. So
Wow. And you
hmm
live to talk about them, which is the best part of it, right?
yeah.
It's like they call them war wounds for a reason, you know. It's like I've got one up my arm from they had to put a rod in my arm
Oh
from
wow.
a whole other kind of
Yeah.
yeah. There's things that you go through which that's nothing in comparison, but um what I find interesting is, your new song, New Me,
Yeah.
that you had written it in Hawaii. And then when you listen to it now, knowing what is this transition of health and just life, one of those major shifts in life that something
Right.
shakes you,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
kind of, it's weird. It's almost like you knew, I
That
don't
was
know. You know what I mean?
it wasn't going to I wasn't sure what it was going to be called, but then it just felt right after the
Mhm.
accident that I needed to finish that one. That song is like something that I just feel like I need to finish. And I ended up
Mhm.
calling it New Me, and I just hope that it will like encapsulates the power of shifting perspectives, and then
Mhm.
like serves as a reminder, and that every day it's not guarantee, and then hope you like infuse each day with a little bit more gratitude and grace. And
Well, I love that song because there's a lot of hope in it, and yet it
Mhm.
feels very much like you are at the coast. There's a feeling of nature and rhythm, like
Mm,
a slow tide to me. And then
yeah.
you've got parts of it that goes, okay, it ain't going to be all rosy, but I'm back again. You know what I mean? There's this balance in there that is really interesting how you're able to do it. And I think you do that a lot in your music. And it's just I don't, you have this way of transitioning
Oh,
things because
thank
you've
you. I
got the
don't know.
flow. There's always this flow of, because of the strings, all that flow with it.
Yeah.
Also with ESCP, and you tell everybody about that because that EP, Pearls, is beautiful. But
Oh, thank
again, you've got this natural vibe to it, this nature yet global feel to it.
you.
And then you go, oh yeah, I'm going to add this in here, just a little grit. You got to have a little grit, but you put the flow and grit together is
Thank you so much.
interesting.
That's very, very sweet. Like the escape ESCP is, it's kind of like the escape key on the computer. So
Right.
ESCP, like, it's just we call that escape because we hope that we take you to a different place,
Hmm.
kind of like,
You do. You trip us out, man. It's cool.
right. So that album was a compilation of compositions that embrace the feeling of loss and growth and tragedy. Tragedy comes later because I didn't know it was going to be tragic.
Mm.
But we were supposed to finish that record before the pandemic,
Oh,
and
wow.
it didn't happen because we actually my so Escape is consisted of myself and my partner Bob Garrett, who
Mm.
lives in Chicago, and he is a worldly percussionist, and he also is a composer. And I just feel like our vision artistically kind of gelled together, and we're also
Hmm.
great friends. So we decided to make an album together, and I had happened to apply for a grant, and I got it. So like we needed to finish it, but it unfortunately just took so much longer than we thought it was going to be. So so finally, after my car accident, I was like, we gotta finish it. We have to like, those people who donated the money, and then all those like people who, you know, contributed, we need to like finish it. So that's also like, I went back and we just kind of like finished the entire album together. We started
Wow.
writing before pandemic, but then like we finished it. Um, and also during that time when we first decided to write an album together, both of us were going through a lot of heartbreak at the time.
Mm.
And I had just also moved from Chicago to LA 2017, I think late 2016. And so it was a time, and then like feel like actually the time helped us to like reflect what happened the past few years, and then like we were able to arrive at this place that's like peaceful, and also like we're surrendering what life has brought us to this place, and we feel piece, and it was very healing for both of us making the record. And
Oh, you feel that. That's what I'm saying. You feel that kind of natural vibe in there that just
yeah.
you feel like you are out in nature. There's just a calmness and soothing, and yet you are on a trip. It's a sonic journey. We can say that, right?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
So
that
I
where you
think
just kind of vibe, and then it was over, and I'm like, what? What do you mean an EP? Like, what's with that? Put it on repeat. Loop that
like
baby.
I would really say that this EP was made with like tears and sweats and like blood, like with all like every part
Mm,
of our beings to put this together, and it represents like hope for the future, and then hopefully brings people together from all cultures, and we
mm,
just because we our composition we always use that word because you have to categorize your own music, which is my least favorite thing to
sucks.
do, right? But when you put it on like a platform like Spotify or iTunes, they're always like, well, how do you categorize your music, right? So we are like, oh God, like this is electronic, but it's also acoustic, it's worldly and global. So like we came up with the term, we just call it a multi-culti ambient.
I like that. I like
So
that. What the, yeah, I like that because
yeah,
I I hate that the pigeonholing. We might have talked about that
right.
before, and we're talking about it on the show all the time, and we're the big blend, and yet
Exactly.
Google's like we don't like that, and we're like, well, screw you, but they do like us. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yeah,
this. It art is art. It's whatever it's
exactly.
supposed to be. And so algorithms don't understand ambiance. They don't understand how you can do more than one thing. Yet, didn't computers come from being binary? And now, like, wait, we
Right.
could be, I don't know what's quadrupery. I'm gonna make my own words up now. That it's just weird that and now
I,
look at all this AI. Like,
I know, just about to say,
is that
like,
weird?
it's so weird. Like, it's scary. And but I don't know. I just, there's like an app that they generates music. You can type in like, can you write some elevator, smooth jazz
Oh
music?
my God.
And then it will like and then make an album within seconds. And then I have done, I've tried it, and it just doesn't have the soul.
No, like
I
when
mean,
I
it's
listen
not
to your
good.
playing, I
Mhm.
mean, really, there's this flow and this bending of notes that comes from years of practice and being able to, because if when you begin, like it's, but now it's
Right.
this soft, beautiful, it's like, a polished piece of wood that just you can rub your hand on. But when you first start playing as, a complete novice, there's no, smooth wood there
Exactly.
at all. You're going to get the
Yeah,
splinters. And AI is just picking up and merging things in little things. So there's no soul, and the soul comes from the splinters.
correct. Yeah, I
That
well
makes
said.
complete sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. But yeah, I think people will know. I mean, even art, like when they're doing it with paintings and writing, it's just kind of empty, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. So like, Escape's goal, like me and Bob were both, I would like to think that we're really, really like worldly people that we were exposed to a lot of different types of music throughout our, career. And we thought, I remember last time I said, my personal goal or in life is to be the bridge between cultural diversities. And I
Hmm.
think it's also the goal for the album, for all the music that I make, is to like, it's the essence of being a musician, is to, just to
Be the universal language.
exactly like, yeah. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to do that,
Mm.
and I hope that reflects in my music and
Oh, I think so for sure, because you feel like you're going, like there's like moments where you're in like Europe, and then you go to
yeah.
Asia, and then you all of a sudden I'm like, wait, we got a little Africa here. Oh, wait, now we're
Yeah.
going to Ireland, maybe. I don't know. That's all good with me. And you
Oh,
don't really know, but that's like when you think about the way the world is right now, we need unity more than ever, right?
yeah,
And in music, you can do that without pointing fingers or, you know, the pointing fingers isn't going to get anyone anywhere ever. But our world is a little shaken right now in a lot of
oh,
ways. And
absolutely, yeah.
music just, it's like when you listen to your music and when you think about that bridge and that universal language, it's almost like you're taking the globe and just watercoloring over the
Mm,
borders,
mm. Yeah,
you
I think
know?
Yeah. I mean, I think musicians,
Imagine that. No borders.
I agree. And no passports, no borders, no
Oh
pass.
God, because now I'm probably, I think I have to renew mine now that you said that. It's always good to have your passport on, you
Yes.
never know
Yeah.
when you need to make a quick
Um,
flight.
yeah, I like to think that we're the gatekeepers of the culture, like I
Mm,
think musicians, especially during the pandemic, right? I think it's our responsibility not only to come together when there's, applause and shiny lights on our faces, but it's also our responsibility to like, heal
mm.
each other and to hold up each other's when during
Mm.
isolation. So, um,
When you were in Hawaii, I mean, there was, the conversation we had, and you were fresh in that experience, right? And then going to go home. And
yeah,
now, after some reflection, obviously a lot of, things have happened. But
right.
do you reflect back to Hawaii and even putting the new song out, New Me, like have just has that experience grown on you when you are able to step outside and look back?
Yes, definitely. I think it would have been a very different song if had that not happened to me, like, the accident or like even just like Escape album would have sounded very, very different if we had finished it before the pandemic. You know what I mean? I think
Mm-hmm.
it's also it's scary, it's refreshing, but then it also like during that
It's
isolation
deep.
or it was very also very grounding for me at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I guess. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that the time actually gave it a little flavor to
Yeah. Oh,
to
it's
the
deep too. It's very deep, and that's what I think about the flow. It just feels very watery, like
thank
good
you.
water,
Yeah,
not watery
yeah.
like washed down.
Right.
Um, well, no, it just got to be clear on that with people because I want them to go hear it. So you're going to go back to Hawaii and do some shows. Do you have
Mhm.
dates so people know, or should they go to your everyone? The website Chihsuan
Dot
.com.
com.
So yeah, it's
H S
CHIHSUAN.com, right?
yes.
I have to read it now to make sure.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah, tell everybody about where you're gonna be
um,
performing and
so this let me pull up this poster I just received. So this show I'm gonna be playing. Actually, I think we have two shows. One is gonna
mm,
be in Kona and one is gonna be in Hilo. And
mm,
one in Kona is on February 10th. It's
okay.
going to be at the place called the Pyramid House. I don't know if you've
Cool.
been there. I've never been.
Nope.
It's gonna be with my dear friend Rafe Perlman and my friend Daniel Berkman. They're both fantastic musicians. It just like feel like their bodies, like it transcends. Music just flows. Like all the
Oh,
instruments. Rafe is an amazing singer that kind of grew up all around the world, spent a lot of time in Alaska and travel a lot and used to sing with this group called Earth Harp. I don't know if you heard of them.
oh, that's a
The
nice
Earth
name
Harp.
though.
Yeah. And Daniel lives in San Francisco. So like we're gonna like all come together to in Hawaii to play this show. And he plays an African instrument called kora.
Okay, cool.
And then he also
Cool.
plays this instrument called andomo, which is a kind of like a theremin, but on keys. It's not a
Oh,
lot of people play this instrument. It's called andomo. It's Ondomon,
wow.
but it's very unique. So that when the three of us come together, it's like wow, like we're all surprising each other with all the instruments that we play. So it's really
Wow, wow. So and then you guys practice on your own and have the
yeah.
music and then you get out there and it's like, here we go. Do you work on
There we
Zoom
go.
together at all? In
We have
in
not. We played
wow.
three of us played once together in Portland and Seattle recently. But that was the first time I met Daniel. So, but this Hawaii concert is gonna be very cool.
Oh,
That was
that's
the first time.
exciting.
Yeah, it'll be the first time the three of us play a solo, like as a trio together. And I'm very
Oh,
excited about it to see,
that's
where it's
nice.
gonna take us. So
Oh, that's really exciting. So everyone, two performances in February in Hawaii. So do
yeah.
you think you're going to do any more artists in residence or apply for another
I
one?
would love to. I really want to come back to, go back to the Hawaii National Park, the Volcanoes National Park. But I know there's so many people apply for it all the time, and I think people should get the opportunity to go to this amazing place. But yes, I will I think the next time when I feel like I need a little escape, I will definitely apply again. Probably, there's so many places in national parks.
Yeah.
I would love to definitely do another residency at some point when I feel.
It would be so cool if you were like at Chaco Canyon, just from that, the ancestral cultures out there.
Yeah, where is that? Where's
It's
the?
northern New Mexico,
Oh, see.
and
Mm-hmm.
they have these circulars, kivas structures. They're not all kivas, but they were built for, they think, for the solstice and for sun events and solar events, basically ceremonial. So
Yeah.
they believe, and I don't know. It's like when you're there, you're like, okay, that's like sacred ground. It feels
Hmm.
like it, and there's crows
Oh,
and ravens everywhere. Well, that's New Mexico too, but it's beautiful. It's a dark sky park as well, like Hawaii.
yeah.
And just all the ruins of these places. And it is Kivas. Yeah.
Mm. No, I,
Um,
I like also
yeah.
to make a big shout out to Tanya.
Oh, Tanya Ortega. We love
Yeah,
Tanya here.
Ortega. And I just this time I just literally I just emailed her. I said, Tanya, I want to come back.
She
Um,
she's awesome.
yeah, she's the best, and I'm so grateful for her and just being so welcoming and just yeah, I have so much gratitude. I'm so blessed. So
Yeah,
and
her
also you.
and her board for the National Parks Arts Foundation, what I think is so great is they really truly support artists and the artist vision, because I know when you guys all apply, they ask you to, what's your vision? What do you want to do? And then when you get there and you start doing it, you're like, well, no, it's going to change now. Or, hey, I want to learn this new technique or this new craft. And they're like, okay, once
Yeah,
you're in, to be able to do that. And um, they're so supportive of originality and true creativity that it just, you just don't hear of many places like that. Even to get into other residencies, and it's like for artists that have to get represented in galleries and stuff, it's so hard,
yeah.
yet because of that rigidity. And
Hmm.
rigidity shouldn't be there in art, yet sometimes we need that, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
We do, we have to learn those scales, right?
I know. You have to learn how to write a grant. You have to learn how to like actually,
uh,
yeah, not just
all
paint,
that's
but
yeah,
also,
you can't
yeah,
just be on the, yeah, we have to use all sides of our brain. I
exactly.
think we
So,
have more than two sides of our brain, but that's just me. Oh, I went to I went to Chaco and hung out with aliens. I don't know.
let's talk about that next next
I
in.
know you got to go. You got to go there. But very excited for you. Any more
Thank
music
you.
in the works? New music that we should all keep our ears out for?
For right now, I'm just gonna, kind of work on my solo set and definitely want to write some more music. And I had just finished my first feature film as a composer, original composer for a
Oh,
90-minute film. So I've been working on that. So I've been writing a lot. Um, yeah, it's
nice.
a new thing scale or it's interesting that how the Gap commercial kind of opened the door for me as a composer that I never thought I will, be pursuing. So I between the Gap commercial, I've written for a short film. I also written for a theater production of Sense and Sensibility as
Oh,
original.
wow.
I know, so that theater run for like 6 months in somewhere in Wisconsin in a theater company,
Oh,
and
but
then
this amazing. So do you get like it's got to be different doing theater versus, okay, for a movie? Do you get
yeah.
to see parts of the movie, or do they tell you I need this much time? This is dark. This is like, how does that work?
So I saw the whole film first, but then the film at the time was not like picture locked. So that means they're still editing, they're still figuring out things. So what I have is also they will send me pieces of the sections of the part of the movie that they want me to score. So I have the time code, like, oh, from here to here, this is gonna be like 5 minutes and 36 seconds, or
She's running through the woods and there's a,
exactly. And then
somebody
this is
coming
gonna be
after her.
like a minute
Yeah.
and 2 seconds. So it's like very precise, like the minutes down to the
Wow.
second.
Yeah,
I have to
you can't.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have to know what's happening in the visually because they had to make sense. So it's
Wow.
a
That's
very
kind of cool
interesting
though.
learning. It's very cool, and also it's challenging, but also it's really fun for me to do. And I
Hmm.
learned a lot. And I really enjoyed doing that. I hope I get to do more of that and also performing live all at the same time. I think that would be a very good balance for my brain
Yeah,
and for
because you
my.
got to go in and out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you can
And
get into the vortex of creativity and never come out. Or,
exactly.
you know what I mean? You have to, yeah, you're right about that balance, which is hard. You can't do it in the same day. It's hard. Like you
Yeah,
can, but it's so hard to do, you know?
it's a
Like
good
if we,
it's
yeah,
a
you
good
can't,
practice to like do on demand too. Like they're like, you gotta turn this in like by today at 5 p.m. or like, to write on demand. So that's something that's a good practice for my muscles, you know.
that is true, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, having to keep it like you have to do it to this second, you know?
Or like it's
That's like
due.
when we did live radio. We had to like
Right, right,
you're gonna go off air as you're saying hello or goodbye. You know,
right.
it's like, yeah, boom, it's out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So doing that and then doing the theater, how did you do theater? Like that's
Theater,
a whole other.
yeah, exactly. Theater, I have nothing visually to work with. Theater is
Mm.
like it's because it hasn't happened yet. The theater, you need the music before the show start rehearsing. So all I had was
Oh,
all I had was like the story, because I know it's Jane Austen, it's an adaptation of, Sense and
mhm.
Sensibility. So this is gonna be in the old, like in England, like, so I have,
La-di-da.
yeah, exactly, like kind of like Downton Abbey, right? So I watched Downton Abbey as a reference and then listened to the soundtrack of Downton Abbey. And then to figure out like with the instrumentation, first of all, you have to figure out what instruments you're going to be using for this soundtrack. Or so like that's all very interesting to work out. And then I will have the script of the theater piece. I only have
Ah,
the script. So I have the dialogues. So I read the entire script and they'll be like, oh, this section they want you to have, music here.
mm,
So I have a little, it's interesting
huh.
because with theater, there's like words to describe the scene. And no, there's gonna be like a little, oh, melancholy or sad or what's happening in the scene. There's this like, oh, bustling city, they're arriving in London, or this is gonna be like a deathbed scene. So that's helpful to have those descriptive words and adjectives.
Wow,
But
that's
with this
cool.
movie, there's absolutely no words. The director just didn't give me any words, but then also I have the visual.
Mm.
So
So do
mhm.
you now with your music, are you thinking like if you look at New Me
Mhm.
about doing a video to that now that you've done the other, like flip it over to create
Yeah,
the
to
do the
come up
visual
with the
side?
music video. I have thought about it. Yes, I actually made something. I have clips of things I want to be part of the music video, but I just I don't know. I don't have like a story yet, but I know I have like I shot something in the Joshua Tree National Parks actually for the new me,
Cool.
but I don't know how it's all gonna come together. We'll see.
Cool. Hey, I love it. I love all the creativity of it all, and just, making the scores. That's going to be fun. That's
Hmm.
super cool to do.
Yeah.
Well, always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank
Please
you
come
so
back, keep us
much.
posted as you keep creating and
Thank you.
hey, I love it. So now we have to go to Wisconsin and watch a play. Sounds good to me.
Thank you so much for having me again, Lisa. I wish you all the best with your travels and
Oh, thank you.
art.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I, I
Everyone, National Parks artsfoundation.org. We want to support them. They're awesome. We're here every first Friday with them at bigblendradio.com and Chihsuan.com. That's it for everybody. So
Chihsuan.com.
go there. That's it.
CHIHSUAN.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.